Okay, good morning, everyone. So I'm Natalie Richards, and I am a principal candidate for the lead program through Dallas Independent School District. On the call, we have our executive director, Dr. Tanya Shelton, and we also have a guest principal, Miss Allen, who is the principal at Blair Elementary, and my home team principal at J.N. Irvin Elementary, Mr. Wallace. Okay, and the recording has begun. So I'm going into the playbook presentation. Oh, also, if anyone please set a 20-minute timer, and I'm asking for a 5-minute warning and a 1-minute warning. Okay, so here is an overview of our team. So overall, these are the game changers. They drive the work. So we have Miss Wilmot. She is a fourth grade gen ed math teacher. Miss Wheaton, I'm sorry, all the W's. Third grade math, Miss Cole, third grade math. Mr. Castell, fifth grade math, bilingual. Myself, Miss Nisley, she is our lead instructional coach. Miss Lewis, she's our campus instructional coach. Miss Toriumi, we have a partnership with our urban teachers, and she is one of those. So she's a teacher in training for the pipeline to come on board. Miss Kentoric, fifth grade math, and Mr. Diaz, he is bilingual math, third and fourth grade, and Miss Toriumi supports with fifth grade instruction. So, grounding in our org chart, our math vision is to build procedural fluency through conceptual understanding through the implementation of math tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving. And our math team overall values evidence of student thinking, student experiences, expiring relationships, and then overall math esteem. So the org chart for this particular, well, my department that I own and lead, which is the math department, is broken down. Of course, 50% of that is going to be instruction, and then the remaining is broken down with operations and culture. Over here, I have a list of all of the teachers that I provide support with, in addition to our counselor who guides our SEL pieces, and one of our teacher assistants, Mr. Chapman, who is also serves as our parent liaison. So the math vision, everything supports this. So our overall driving force for the math department is going to be that conceptual understanding and using that to promote reasoning and problem solving throughout the instructional block and throughout any interactions that our students have with our math teachers. Our core values, this is our identity. The language that we use, the language that we speak is supported through our evidence of student thinking, our experiences, our relationships, and again, our confidence. So our grounding big rocks, in a sense, everything pretty much just goes back to these three things: that side by side individual planning, our designated support, so making sure that our students have what they need, and the monitoring of our students. So our overall data, moving the data, knowing what the students need, where they are, those out of place students. So I've just broken down essentially the action steps and then the indicators of success. Just to briefly go through indicators of success for our planning: fidelity of the lesson cycle, timely transitions, instructional deliverables, and then conceptualized content by the teacher. For our big rocks, for number 2, our designated supports, indicators of success: fidelity to the IEP, IAP, MTSS, RTI, and student engagement. So giving, again, kids what they need every day beyond just testing. And then progress monitoring, the indicators of success, overall the joy factor, back to the core values, that math esteem. um, they're confident and they're engaged through the learning because they have conceptualized the standard, and then they're able to see their progression throughout the year and their student growth. So our core classroom design, So our playbook outlines what the classroom looks like both inside and outside. We have our common external classroom entry. So this is actually campus wide. So we have our biography, timestamp schedule, weekly lesson plans, including the exemplar, our seating chart, as far as our contact tracing, and that of course is new with CDC and COVID, and then our classroom safety protocols. So we have all of these things posted outside of the classroom. One, so that for myself, Mr. Wallace, campus visitors, we are able to check for the fidelity of their lesson cycle. Are they on time? And start immediately going there. We can check alignment by reviewing their exemplars. We can go in and then we can continue those observations to provide them their feedback in the moment. And then our classroom environment, 3, 5, essential main components, that LO, visible word walls, those anchor charts, math rooms, overall the vision across the board is to have anchor chart, rich print. Our manipulatives are accessible to the students, and the teachers are using that and driving that. So everything is outlined here, and then the school supply list. Our instructional block, these are the components, but our playbook allows the teachers, because this is a living document, this is our grounding document. So you take the block and then now they're able to see what instruction actually looks like timestamp. So you have your whole group routine, your I do, your we do, your you do, and then your small group. And then from there, they're able to identify the teacher moves, student moves, and give identity to what the actual block looks like. What am I doing? What are the students doing at each point? And then being super intentional in applying it to the time that we're actually here on campus. So, of course, COVID, this is kind of where, just to go back, this is where we are now, especially with our face to face. So we're more with one grade level. Most of our grade levels, we have two. We have a remote section and we have a face-to-face section, and that's captured here. So this is a actual schedule where we started in the beginning when we were making those hybrid connections and trying to be intentional with virtual learning. This was where we started. So outlining this as well for our time. Our math instructional excellence continues. So our Google Classroom non-negotiables. Again, this is where we started. This is where we live. So no matter what, even face to face, we're still using the implementation of the virtual platforms, and this was the expectation. Teachers have the Bitmoji Classroom. That's the landing page. It houses their Zoom link, etc., where parents can click on, and just providing the team with clear deliverables of what they needed so that they were able to set up so that the parents were in the loop and that they had easy access to get to them. Our virtual instructional launch, again, of course, with CDC and with us being in this pandemic, we did have to include those virtual launch considerations. So this is kind of where we lived, again, breaking it down to our teacher moves and our student moves. So with the playbook and developing the playbook, it's just very important to provide clear expectations as to what the teachers are doing and what the students are doing. So for each piece, that's one of the heavy lifts. Both myself and the math leadership team, myself and Ms. Lewis, our CIC, we take the time to ensure that we have those pieces outlined. So with here, modeling how to navigate through Zoom, modeling how to navigate through their landing deck, model the lesson cycle, and then model the engagement apps. We're still here. Um, we're constantly having, now a lot of kids are able to self-start, but it's very important that the teachers ground the lesson always in the virtual expectations, how to go through the apps and resources like that. That's just what we need to start with, and that's what they're doing. And then here's kind of what the students are living. Um, virtual learner has some hyperlinks there. So this supports going into the big rock number 2, which was those designated supports. These are our supplemental aids. Our supplemental aids are added to, we actually have them bite size. Our goal is for our supplemental aids essentially to be a scaffolded version of a anchor chart. So we start with what they're going to teach, and it builds and it gets more and more. So right now we have a 2-page supplemental aid because there's more resources and there's more content that's been taught. What you see is a snip, essentially just place value, those basic relationship with our algebraic relationships. So designated supports, having these readily available, making sure that the teachers know that this is just beyond testing. You know, we're going through that battle now. Excuse me, but these are the tools that the students need to be successful with every day during instruction. Our PLC protocols. So what truly drives our instruction, student achievement, what creates high performing teachers are our PLC protocols. So both look forward and look back. This outlines our norms. Um, it is even clear again what the teachers, they see what lift we're doing on our end so that they know that it's not just them. You know, we can ask for deliverables, but we too have deliverables as well. Ours are called back pocket. So this is just a clear outline of what we're providing to truly drive so that they are strengthening their craft as well as ours. So this just breaks down our PLC protocols. We still meet virtually. We will have content meetings that are face to face, but they're very small group, one teacher at a time, that type of thing. So this just kind of outlines our look forward and evidence of our look forward. We do have weekly assessments that we provide to the students. Well, I'm sorry, to the teachers. The students take the weekly assessment. So we ground that. That is our document so that we can start planning from there. We break down our no-show, our say, which then our no-show and say, those key terms that we're going to use to drive, like what is the verbiage of it. And that helps with the development of our laps as well. And then we create our laps and then we role play and we get ready for the next piece. So this is look forward. Our look back, our data meetings. So again, we take that same test, we identify our high leverage SC, we recreate a question. Our teachers know and experience look back. This is, in my opinion, this is one of the highest leverage tools to truly drive student achievement, as well as I think with look back, keeping it bite sized with the protocols that we follow, with the rubric that we follow, it allows teachers to be super intentional. And this is what truly makes the teacher stronger. Our testing protocol. So practicing very strong testing protocol. So not only for the teachers, but for the students, we have to have those in place for our student culture so that we practice perfect so that when it comes down to the season that we're in now, the culture is already set. Students are working. You know, it takes time, but this is how we monitor the admin team. When we are walking, we have laps where to make sure teachers are on time. Like, is their environment in place? Do they have their seating charts up? Have they switched? So again, and everything that we do that is supporting with student culture, adult culture, instructional excellence, we have those leader moves and those teacher moves identified. So again, just giving identity. What is it? What is it truly like to be a math teacher at J and Irvin? What is it like to be a math student or a student at J and Irvin? What are my expectations? So just giving identity to what we're supposed to be, and this allows us to give them feedback as well. So having clear testing protocols, just to briefly go through leader moves, of course, we create a calendar, we prep, roll out, conduct the testing meeting. We prep those math manipulatives. We do the heavy lift so that teachers can truly just come in and be launch ready. Teacher moves, holding them accountable, monitoring, no opt out, being positive framing and being on time and just sticking to the script. Um, and of course, our cycle of feedback. So, although look back is important, look back is a cycle of feedback. We're giving feedback on data and your next steps. So, feedback, of course, drives all of that. Um, so here is just an outline of how we're capturing feedback, what feedback looks like. A lot of our teachers are familiar with our practices. We have one new teacher, well, two to our team. So Miss Kentoric and Miss Wheaton. So their feedback is more structured with see it, name it, do it. But depending on the needs and where they're living, as far as like if it's management or rigor trajectory, that kind of determines what type of feedback they get. So we do a lot of RTC in the moment. We're urgent. So it's invasive, but we're able to do that because the culture has been set. So we RTC, we debrief, give them their next steps in the moment, and they're ready to go. If it is an S&D feedback where we have to sit down and do the model and make sure that they're able to identify their gap from my exemplar, we do take the time to do that as well. So feedback, of course, is embedded in all of this, and that's through my leader moves as well, through the monitoring. And last but not least are the Big Rock calendar. So how all of this gets done, how all of this happens. From my lens as an AP, our power meetings are 20%. So we do have to meet to prep and to determine our action steps to guide our next steps is how we're going to, support our teachers and our team and to move the boat. Our coaching cycle, distributive leadership, that's me being intentional with coaching my CIC, so that she's able to in turn and lead the work in my absence, and also empowering the teachers as well. And then culture, monitoring the systems, monitoring student behavior, monitoring that SEL, and then operations. So like our fire drill, testing for me, right? So that's one of the big pieces of my pie as well. All right. So that is the end of the actual playbook. Um, this is a clarifying question. Ms. Shelton, these were questions outlined in the lead task. Do you want me to just go ahead and present these things?
You can go ahead and present them, and we will ask any other questions when we call you in for feedback.
Okay. So just to kind of go back through the playbook. So updates and improvements based on the training and just kind of where we are. It is a grounding document. That's from the playbook that I have created in the past versus now. I truly can go back to the playbook and reference it as a grounding document. So if I'm giving feedback, if there's a question over environment, or if there's a question over our POC practices or feedback or testing protocols, like let's go back to the playbook. I can ground my feedback in results, like to our culture and our academic, to this document. It's available for the team to review and reference. In the past, it was just kind of for me, not really sharing it, but it is available to the team. Like they need to know what the plays are in our playbook and what's expected. It provides an identity to what a high performing teacher looks like and sounds like. And it also outlines the power moves that drive instructional excellence. Opportunity. So just continue to kind of going through the lead program and learning from you all. There are definitely opportunities that I can upgrade and improve on. So input from teachers. The playbook was done in isolation. So allowing them to input so that it can drive truly the shared goal versus presenting to them a finalized product of here are your teacher moves, providing them and creating a space for them to provide input so that it's done together. Connecting more data pieces to each component. So having those academic achievement data tools pieces. If these are our data goals, this is why we're doing this. Our data is here. So if we have this data piece, this is connected to why we have these PLCs. We have SEL. Let's look at our student survey data. Students don't feel comfortable. So this is why we are doing these celebrations, or this is why we have to be intentional with morning meetings. So adding all data versus just instructional data. So academic, parent, student, and culture. Reference the playbook again to drive the cycle of feedback, and then have courage and be consistent. So having those tough conversations and connecting it back to the playbook. Um, not the teachers, that's one of the things that I always say to them, like, no opt out. But if I'm honest, like, I don't need to opt out from what is outlined in the playbook. Like, no opt out from the playbook. Day-to-day drivers. So how this playbook truly moves this team, it gives, again, like, I'm using that word identity. So I know what it is. So identity to our core values, what it looks like and sounds like, the expectations of our instructional block. They know what to come in, they know what needs to be done. Expectations of a high performing teacher. If you do these things, you you will be successful. When we stray away from it, that's when we have our roadblocks, and that's when we're creating more gaps. It's the cycle of feedback. It's our classroom culture. It's that student engagement, and then it's essentially our PLC practices. How does it connect to our overall school vision? So our campus vision is we are an invested and responsive staff who promotes equity through strong leadership, effective instruction, and an empowering environment to create a high-performing learning community. Well, this is our vision. So the vision is our final destination for Jay and Irvin. So when it is distributed to me in my piece of the pie, in this sense, the mathematics vision brings to the connection. So when we talk about the identity of strong leadership, that is distributive leadership. That's Mr. Wallace empowering me to lead the math team. Um, Identity language for high performing teachers within math content, that's outlined. So we're taking those pieces and making them bite sized. We talk about high leverage, how our LO should be bite sized. Everything is bite sized. So distributive leadership allows our vision to take that and to become bite sized pieces. Our PLCs, those practices connect to the vision of having effective instruction. And our core values, as far as the math team, those inspiring relationships, student thinking, evidence of their learning, that all connects to our vision of having, as a campus, having that empowering environment. And then implementation slash monitoring of the playbook. The leadership team starts there. Mr. Wallace provided a clear vision to unite us, because it's three of us. So to unite us and to inform where we're going. So connecting our campus goals to each of our individual departments. And then side by side development with APCIC. Again, upgrade, include all of the team members. Clear roles and responsibilities are defined, and it's monitored through the work. Um, where it's not just a book, because this was the playbook before, but this just kind of set on the shelf. So we're monitoring the systems by doing the work. If we're doing PLCs come with a cycle of feedback. If we're coaching in the moment and we're monitoring and we're ensuring the fidelity of all of the practices that we have implemented through that work, that is how all of this is monitored. And that is the end of the playbook presentation.
Got it. Thank you. So at this time, if you will, we're going to interview the teachers before we call you back, before we debrief and then call you back for feedback.
Okay, quick question, and I'm not necessarily pushing this. Did you all have any questions? Because it said that on our task notes, like you guys could possibly ask questions, or that doesn't need to be recorded?
We will at the end, but I don't think it has to be recorded. We
Gotcha.
will when we're giving feedback.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop the recording now.